Good evening, everybody. Shakira Ali here, and today I'm coming to you from Union, New Jersey, from the home of two of my dear friends, Niamo and Jonathan. And the reason I'm here today is because they hosted a share for the International Black Summit today, and they invited me to come as I have been a long-time participant of the International Black Summit. And so I thought I would do my video today from their deck, the deck of their lovely home here in Union, New Jersey. And the reason, I just need to say at the outset that this is going to be a bit of a rant today, because I'm feeling I'm feeling a bit aroused. It's not exactly the word that I want, but that'll do for the time being. I'm feeling a little bit aroused by the circumstances that our country is in, and I guess I'm speaking to people largely in the U.S. today, whether you are of Black African descent or some other origin. I am calling on you today to think a little bit about how far we have come as a nation and how far we have left to go. And I say that because of two things. Like I said, I'm here for the International Black Summit, and I'm also thinking about the upcoming March on Washington. This August 24th marks the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, where Dr. King made his very famous "I Have a Dream" speech. And I'm thinking about how far our country has come in these last 50 years, and yet how far still we have to go. And I actually made some notes because there's a lot that I'd like to get in here today. So let me start out by telling you a little bit about the International Black Summit. Many of you who are, especially those of you who are entrepreneurs, you may know something about the Landmark Education Corporation. Landmark grew out of the work of Werner Erhard and the EST movement, the Erhard Seminar Training Movement. And the Landmark Forum, which is their basic training, it's a 3.5-day training, really is training to help you take responsibility for your own life. It really is a conversation that supports you in creating power and vibrancy and creativity and value out of your own life, so that you actually can take control of your world. You take control of the life you live and what you produce in the world. And so it's a very powerful conversation. And so back in 1991, there were two women of Black African descent who took that forum training, and they were just sitting talking one evening and lamenting about the fact that there was no comparable conversation like this going on in the Black community. And so they took it upon themselves to begin this conversation, and actually in October of 1991, the first International Black Summit was convened in Atlanta, Georgia. And out of that summit, there was a lot of conversation about how individuals in the community of Black African descent could reclaim their own power and could reclaim their own responsibility, being able to be responsive in their own lives, so that they could be the best selves that they wanted to be. And I have with me the declaration that they created in October of 1991. It's called the Declaration of the International Black Summit. I'd like to share it with you because it is a very powerful statement. And it goes like this: "We declare ourselves, our community, and all communities whole and complete. There is nothing to do except be. We assert that we are responsible for generating community as possibility and distinction. We listen for and grant being to the possibility and creation of unpredictable results. Our conversation of, about, and for those of African descent is one of power, self-generation, abundance, responsibility, unity, and integrity, with the possibility of being. We stand for the expression of our spirituality, ending the murders of our men, women, and children, building economies responsible for funding our community, maintaining wellness of being in our bodies, providing human services, establishing nurturing relationships, altering the conversation of who we are in the media, empowering our youth. We declare that our community manifests itself in the world as a contribution in the transformation of the universe. Atlanta, Georgia, October 7, 1991. And so every year since 1991, the first weekend in August, people of Black African descent have been convening somewhere around the globe. The summit has met from coast to coast, from North America to South America, into West Africa and East Africa. And every year, people of Black African descent have come together to engage in this conversation so that they could become their own powerful selves. I must say that I just want to share this little story, and just be ready. This is a little bit a long rant today, but I think it's important. The story that I have about the International Black Summit is this. I attended the first summit in 1993. It was in Oakland, California. There were about 300 people in the room, maybe about 100 African American men, mostly African American. Maybe some were from Africa or South America, mostly African American. About 200 women. And the summit was at that time, for those years, led by 5 individuals, 3 men and 2 women. And one of the participants from among the guests who attended that year was a gentleman from Pittsburgh who said that he stood up and shared that most of the men that he grew up with when he was living in Pittsburgh, most of them were either dead or in jail. And he vowed that if he had ever gotten out of Pittsburgh, he would never go back. And that's exactly what he did. He managed somehow to get out of Pittsburgh alive and went to college and found himself in corporate America, and that's where he stayed. Until that weekend in 1993, in August, when the conversation that was in the room was so powerful that he decided that he would go back to the community that he grew up in, and he would do what he could to try to save other young black men in that community. He would try to mentor them or do something to help those young men. And so he went, one of the black male facilitators, well, everybody was black, one of the facilitators grabbed him and hugged him. And then this man kind of teared up, welled up a little bit, and he acknowledged that that was the first time in his life that he had ever been hugged by a black man. And he said his own father never hugged him. So the guy who hugged him again, and the other 2 male facilitators got into a bear hug. And the next thing you know, every single male in that conference room, in that meeting room, in that hotel, was in a bear hug on the stage, and every woman in the room was just sobbing. We were just in tears. And it was such a powerful, such a moving experience. I couldn't even tell that story for 10 years without crying. And I say, my story about the International Black Summit is that that event, that break, that ability for those men to connect in that room, I say that that created the space in the universe for the Million Man March, which took place 2 years later. So I have a reverence for the International Black Summit, and a belief that when we engage in a conversation where we attempt to, not attempt to, but where we pursue a conversation about who we are, about where we find our power, that this is conversation that grows us. It emboldens us. It empowers us to make the change in our own lives in such a way that we are then able to make a change in the lives of other people. And so I say all that to kind of relate to the fact that we are now in this year about to acknowledge the 50-year anniversary of the March on Washington, where Dr. King made his "I Have a Dream" speech. Now, I should have prepared to share with you exactly some of the words from the speech. It's a pretty long speech, but the idea was that Dr. King was hoping for black people and white people in particular, those two groups, to be able to live together in harmony, and for black people to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder and face to face and belly to belly with other Americans, fully holding our own power by way of our own education, by way of our own economic creativity, by way of our own cultural creativity, in such a way that we together make this a wonderful place to live. And in many ways, this has been accomplished. I mean, after all, Barack Hussein Obama is in the White House, and his wife, who is of a darker complexion than I, is also in the White House and is an extraordinary example for the women in our country. You have to excuse me, I'm feeling itchy. I'm standing outside and it's sweaty, but in any case, so I say all that to say that you know, we've come a long way. But that said, the shooting massacre that took place in Connecticut happened 7 short months ago, December of 2012, I believe, and that was 26 people. And just last weekend, I think it was, 46 children, 46 individuals were shot in Chicago, in the black community. There are so many contrasts in terms of what is good and what is and what is challenging in our country today, in the U.S. I'm speaking of, that I feel compelled to just ask for. There are 3 things that I would want you to, that I would like to see done. I'd like to encourage you I would like to encourage you to do at least one of 3 things. If you are of Black African descent, I encourage you to go to the website for the International Black Summit and consider joining us in Ottawa, Canada. In Ontario. I think we're going to Ottawa. Just go to the website. I put a link below here and on my video. Go to that link and register yourself for the summit. If you can't come this August to Canada, consider joining us next year. We'll be in Belize. That's the first weekend in August. If you are not of Black African descent, or even if you are of Black African descent, particularly if you're of Black African descent, but any other, if you're an American of any other stripe, I encourage you. I really, I beg you. I just really pray that you will find yourself on the mall in Washington, D.C. on the weekend, on Saturday, August 24th. If you just, I'll put a link to that also. You can go and find yourself a way to get to Washington, D.C. on the weekend of August 24th to celebrate or to acknowledge a reclamation of the dream that Dr. King had. And I want that dream to be reclaimed, not just for people of Black African descent, but for all people that are living in this country, in the U.S. Because the U.S., we're a leader. We're a broken leader, but we're a leader nonetheless in terms of how the world communicates and how the world moves. We have such a huge economy that we impact what's going on in the rest of the world, and yet our economy is broken. Our economy is broken. We used to be proud, independent people where entrepreneurship was revered and followed, and people just move to innovate and try new things and bring new products and new services to market. Somehow or another, that spirit has gone away, and as a result of that, the jobs are diminishing in our country. Our economy is faltering, and people are just out of work. People are underemployed. People are working twice as hard for half the pay anymore, and it is diminishing the quality of life in our country. Our educational systems are suffering. Our healthcare systems are suffering. In fact, we don't actually have a healthcare system. We have a sickness and illness maintenance system anymore, and it's one of the reasons why I absolutely rely on my essential oils and other holistic healing methods to keep my own family well and to keep myself well. But in any event, I encourage you to go to the mall on August the 24th, Washington, D.C., because we need to re-spark the ideal of the American dream, the ideal of the American dream. We need to re-spark that, and I think that if we come together on the mall, back in 1963 when Dr. King was there, it was not just black people. There were white people on the mall there, and Hispanic and Asian and Native American people on the mall who have a dream that our country can really be the leader in the world that we want to be, and I think that that we all can do that. So I encourage you to come there. Finally, if you can't come, if you are not of Black African descent and not interested in coming to, or you're not interested in participating in the International Black Summit, or if you are unable to join us on the mall in Washington, D.C. on August 24th to re-spark the dream that Dr. King had for the upliftment of our country, then I encourage you to occupy entrepreneurship. I encourage you to pursue financial independence so that your family can resume the legacy that was left by the founding fathers of this country. And if that is of interest to you, I then encourage you to join the movement that is Empower Network, because it is a movement. It is a movement of people who are interested in creating financial independence for those of us who are participants, and it is a vehicle itself for creating financial independence, and the education, the training that you get as a part of this organization will help you to be a leader in so many other areas of your life and in the life of your community, the community that you care about. And so I encourage you to do one of those three things. I've included links to all of those things here underneath my video. I appreciate your indulgence for letting me spend time with this rant. And please leave me some comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think I'm off base. If you'd like to join me, leave a comment to that effect also. So take care. Have a great what remains of the July 4th holiday weekend, and have a good upcoming week. Take care, and blessings to all of you. Bye.